Hi, welcome to Online Appliance Tech. Today we're going to work on the LG dryer that's either taking too long to dry or not heating at all. So make sure to watch the video all the way towards the end to receive all the benefits. The first thing we're going to go over is to check all the airflow blockages like the ductwork and the exhaust. So this is a flow sensor right here. The flow sensor is a great test to see if your exhaust is either clogged or blocked, as you'll see here. So to activate this test, you're going to make sure the drum is empty. And then you're going to hold the signal and temp control button down as you press the power button. Once you press the power button, the INS will display on your dryer and the dryer will start to tumble. And this is activating the test. Then you can locate the bars and see if they're full, which means restricted. If there's no bars, that means you passed the test. And here's some error codes you may receive, the D90 and D95 if you have some blocked exhaust. So something you may want to check if you get that. So now we're going to test the moisture sensor. So to test this moisture sensor, we'll have to place this in diagnostic mode. So first thing we're going to do is remove the 2 or even 3 Phillips screws in the back. It's not the top ones, it's the bottom ones. And you'll just remove them. Usually there's 2, but sometimes there's actually one in the middle. And once you remove the 2 screws, you'll go to the front of the dryer and then you'll just press this top cover backwards, and then sometimes you have to really shake it a little bit to get it off. As you can see, this one I had a little trouble with, and usually it's not this complicated though, but in this case it was for me. So once you get that off, just remove it and put it somewhere safe. So this is the main control board. Definitely make sure you unplug it, and you should have done this before you remove the top, but oh well. And then on this model you have 2 Phillips screws that you have to remove, one on the left, one on the right. However, some of these control boards are on the side of the dryer on the right hand side when you remove the top, and you don't have to worry about doing all this extra stuff. But on this one, you definitely just have to remove the 2 screws and just pry these clips off, and then you'll just flip it on its back. So once you get these clips separated, you'll just flap it over, turn it over I would say, and then you can get to all the connections for all your tests. So let's place this in diagnostic mode to test this moisture sensor. So to put this in diagnostic mode, you will have to press the power button and then right away press the more and less more time buttons on the right. So as soon as I press the power, I'll hit these 2 down, more time and less time button right away. And once you correctly enter diagnostic mode, you'll see the whole display light up. And the first will be several different letters, and then if you get any of these error codes, the TE1, TE2, or even the TE4, that's the error code, and here soon I'll show you exactly what they mean. And if you do get these error codes, I'll show you how to check the sensor itself. So these are what the error codes mean. The TE1 is the outer thermistor of the blower housing, the same thing with the TE2 thermistor blower housing, and the TE1 is the thermistor that goes near the water valve itself. So pressing this button one more time will display the moisture or the humidity inside the dryer. So as you can see, it says 236. So 240 is low and 68 is high. So that kind of gives you an indicator where you're at. So as it states here, if you put a damp cloth, and it's under 180, that means you're good. But if it doesn't read correctly, you have a problem. So I'll show you how to test this later on with a multimeter and some other ways. So it should be under 180 when you put damp, not wet, to this moisture sensor. So as you can see now, I'm at 236, and that makes sense because I have no clothes in there, so it can't really sense nothing, so that means it's dry. And this is a chart that we'll go over later, and we'll show you exactly how to use it to test from the main board and so forth. So up next, we're going to check the DC voltage from the main board to the moisture bar, because at this point we don't know if it's the main board or the bar itself. So on all LG dryer boards, you have this white prong here. They all look the same. They're usually green, blue, and yellow wires that come out. But on this DC voltage check, we're going to not use the green and yellow, but only the blue and orange. So this is a live voltage check. If you're not comfortable with using a multimeter or doing this test, it's called professional. So this is a live DC voltage check. So if you're not comfortable, just call professional. Usually these main control boards are on the side of the dryers, but this one's on top. You're going to set your multimeter to DC volts. Then you'll press the start button, set your temperature, the knob to normal. And as you can see here, my multimeter is fluctuating, reading from minus 2.5 to 4. So as you can see here on the chart, is saying that the clothes are wet because I'm less than 2 DC volts, meaning the moisture sensor is reading correctly. And I forgot to state that I did put a wet towel in there, so that's why it's reading this minus 2.5 to 4.0. So when doing these DC checks, you got to make sure your red and your black prong is connected correctly, because if you mix match, you can actually get a different reading. So this is orange and blue, black for blue, and if you switch it, you will get the incorrect reading, as I'll show you here. So I went ahead and switched the multimeters the opposite way, and then I got a damp close, but as you can see now it's saying positive. So that's where it can mess you up, because here positive, it says it states it's dry, and it's not. It should be less. So here's another test without running the machine, just having multimeter in there. So say if you put a wet cloth in there like I just did, and it says -2, which it should, but if it reads +4, this means it's dry. So at this point it could be the sensor or the main control board. So you're like, well, how would I test that? So this is why we did the first test. As you can see here, it is corresponding with the sensor, which means it's well. And at this point, that means that you would have a back main control board. Hopefully this makes sense. So once you press the button for the third time in diagnostic mode, this will display the current temperature, which is in Celsius. So you have to Google whatever is shown on your display, which 27 is 80 Fahrenheit. So this way you can correspond the temperature. Then once you press the third time, this will actually show the Celsius, and also will activate the heater, or the igniter itself, depends on which one you have. And then you'll see this number on the right hand side go up. So right now we're at 26 Celsius, and I just heard the flame cut on because I already reset this one. And I will show you here soon in the video how to reset it if it's not working. But as you can see here, it's going up to 29, so that does indicate that the heat is working. So this is a good little test for the diagnosis mode. So say if your temperature does not rise, at this point this could be your igniter or your heating element that's not activating. So more likely it's going to be the reset, the thermal fuse, or the igniter, or the MPC, or a heating element if you have an electric dryer. So safety first, let's unplug this, because we're going to show you how to reset these gas dryer thermal fuse, and it's just a reset button. This is the easiest way, so make sure you unplug it, because you will get shocked, and you'll have one Phillips screw, and you'll just pull out this tube here, the exhaust tube. So once you remove this exhaust tube, you'll see a little reset button under the burner housing. I'll try to get a good look in here so you can see exactly where it is. It's this little one right here, and sorry, here I'll put a picture up here so you can see, but it's right there, and you just press the little button in, and like I said, just make sure you unplug it. It's a little button you press in, and this is what keeps the heat from turning on. And then you'll slide this tube back in. So the little trick is you'll press it in gently. You'll take your flashlight and look inside this tube. This way you can line it up with the exhaust in the front. You just don't want heat to be rising throughout the dryer, so you got to make sure this is on, and it will slide on, and actually it won't even screw into the back of the housing if you don't have it on aligned correctly. So once you have it sliding correctly, you'll just line it up with the back housing, and then put the one Phillips screw back on, and then you'll just make sure you put your ductwork back on. And here's the last test. Once you press the button, it'll state 0. This is a water valve pump. I guess on some machines you have them and sometimes you don't. So if you don't get this, it's fine. To exit the diagnostic mode, just hit the power button. So now let's test the thermistor. This is a blower thermistor, which if you got one of the error codes, or if your temperature is all over the place, unplug it. Make sure you unplug it first, and then you'll just disconnect this same prong, the one that we've been testing the moisture sensor, because they both work together and correspond together, believe it or not. So this is one that you may want to test. To be honest with you, they never usually go bad, but it's usually in the main board if you're having a T1 or T2 error code. But just to verify, it doesn't hurt. Sometimes you can just get a cut wire and not be even a thermistor, so we'll just verify it. So put your multimeter to the ohm setting. So we're going to test for continuity. You're going to check the word yellow and blue on this one, and you should read like 80 k ohms. Here we have 9.36 k ohms, which is 9,000. and something ohms. So here I have a chart, and this will actually help you. You shouldn't kind of know what the temperature is or your ambient temperature is inside the dryer just by your, say, even the thermostat of your home. It should be within 10 degrees. So 9.36, as you can see here, that means we should be around 70 degrees inside this drum. But say if you read 18K ohms and you know it's 70, that means you have a bad thermistor. So say if your thermistor is reading correctly and you're getting one of these TE1 or TE2 error codes, that's going to be your main control board, which will be your problem. So yeah, just make sure you connect everything that you took off. It should just be this one, and just flip it over, line it up. If you do need the part number for your board on this one, you can just take a picture, it's on there, and then just make sure everything's aligned and not dragging the drum. So here's two other tips. You want to make sure the dry level settings is correct, set on normal, not damp dry, and also make sure the energy saver is turned off. I hope this video was helpful, and please like and subscribe for more future tips and videos. If needed any parts or any additional help, please check out our website in the description below. Thank you.